Hey, welcome back. Estelle Rubio here. I'm going to show you step by step how you can build a song from scratch using Roland VerseLab. This is a really good way to very quickly show you some of the functions, how to move through them quickly, how to work with clips, sections, how to build your song, add your vocals, put some processing on. And if I have time, we'll do the mix down, but that may be for another video. So let's get started. New project, click here. First thing that I set up was actually the quantize, the input quantize. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. So anything you play on the pads and record will be recorded in time. So you can see here we've got the shift function and we can hit quantize. And you can see now the window is just showing that I've turned the input quantize to on. So you use these extra control buttons to access the window. So the first thing, I usually decide what genre. This is going to be a kind of housey, deep house vocal song. And I'm going to set the tempo. So you can see the tempo here is underneath, and this is functions that are accessed via shift. So you'll be using shift a lot. So let's access that. And you can see again, we've got the tempo. I'm going to use the control. And I'm just going to set it to a kind of atypical house, deep house tempo. Let's go for 121, exit back out of there. So again, 4 on the floor. Most dance music is set this way. So you can see we've got the workflow. We're in the sequence, which is where we start to build our clips. And I'm going to start with the kick. In order to change the sound, we use the value knob. You click, and you can see we've got preset. This is also where we can access files from Roland Cloud. We can browse via number or by category. So we've got synth bass, synth lead, synth pad. I'm just going to choose number because this is where the 808s, 909s, that's where they're all kept. So you can see we come straight into an 808, but I'm actually going to go for an FXM synth kick 3. It's not too heavy, this one. And this time I'm just going to use the step sequencer to bring that sound in. I'm going to build up all the parts, like I said, step by step. So I'm going to move on through the drum tracks. I'm just going to move on to the snare. And I'm going to go for this one, the Rezo 808. And again, to select that sound, we just click. As we know, the snare falls here. Add some hi-hats here. So again, you can always use the pads. We're hearing the hi-hats there. There's some quite cool functions, like this one here called style, which means that you can create triplets or some really interesting rhythms for hi-hats. So we just, very easily to access those, we just switch from note into style. And you can hear now we've got various different sections. We've got kind of little build-up sections, breakdown sections. So these are quite fun as well. But I just want to show you another way that you can play around with the hi-hats and then begin to start adding effects. Now, I basically mix as I'm working. This is just always the way I've worked, but this workflow enables you to do that. So you can actually stay in sequence mode. Go back to note there. And you can go to the mixer, and can you see already I've got the level, the pan, whether or not I want to mute this clip at any point. And I can just scroll along. I've also got some EQ. There is a more complex EQ we'll look at later. We've also got delay and the reverb. On this hi-hat, I'm just going to use a little bit of a delay. So I'm just going to play it. So you can hear now, it's quite a nice little rhythm. I'm just actually going to take the reverb down just to give it a little bit of a sharper kind of edge still. I've got basic rhythm set up now, ready to start adding some melodic sounds. There's about 3,000 sounds. I spent so long just going through, listening. Oh, I like that one. I want to try that one. Oh my God, that bass is great. There's a lot of the old classics that you get on all the drum machines, but there's also some great stuff for like the reggaeton genres, deep house, a lot of kind of great little leads that make really good arpeggios. So I've got this great lead sound, analog sequence. I'm going to show you some more ways that we can get in and customize. So obviously we've looked at the shift, which gives us access to the commands underneath the buttons. And if we want to go in another layer deeper, then we can use the edit button. It asks me what I want to edit, and I want to edit the style button again. And now you can see another window is opened up and it says style arpeggiator. So this is where I can access the arpeggiator. See, we've got various styles that we can play around with. I'm going to go into my mixer and I'm just going to add a little bit of delay to that sound. And obviously these are polyphonic. Obviously we're not using the step sequencer this time. We're going to move on and use the pads. The first thing is, because I'm creating a longer melody than the length of this step sequence, we need to increase the measure. So the measure is here, and I can just copy, and you can see now I've got 4 measures, which is the length of my whole evolving melody. So we hit record, and it's going to give us a count in. And if you want to set a count in or turn off a count in, again, it's in the shift tempo section just here. And I'm going to hit play, and play will give me the count in and take me into record. You can see the sensitivity there. Now it will start playing round, looping the section that I've just recorded, and it's done the automatic quantize that we wanted to add before. Just wanted to move on now and show you using the kit, because again, I've been reading comments, a lot of people saying, oh, but there's only this many tracks and there's only this many vocals. There's actually 16 potential layers of vocal tracks, 1 on each of the pads. And when you use the kit, you potentially can free up a lot of the other tracks. You don't necessarily have to put a kick on the kick track. You don't necessarily have to put a snare on the snare track. You can move them around if you need to. And using the kit is a way to obviously just have your whole palette of sounds for your percussion aspects. Let's have a look through some of the kits. This time I know exactly what I'm looking for, so I'm just going to switch to kit there. And I'm actually going to go for alphabet, because I know I'm either looking for house or trance, techno kit. So a lot of them are by genre: EDM, hip hop kit, house kit, a load of percussion kits, pop kits, R&B kits, the reggaeton kits I used on my other video. They're quite cool. Let's have a go with the trance kit. And you can see now I've selected it. It's told me which sound I've got here on each pad. Oh, so I like these congas. I need a few more rhythmic elements before I start kind of building, the bass line and all the other aspects, the vocal, most importantly. Looking forward to showing you how to lay those down. Been really very pleasantly surprised by some of the effects. Anyway, I digress. So back to the kit. So let's play what we've got. We've got our arp. So I was saying about mixing again, I'm just going to nip to the mixer, and I'm going to just drop the level a little bit there and add a little bit of panning for this sound. So I'm just going to move it to the left 20. Just exit out of there. You can see my conga, my TR626 conga. So let's have a go at recording that one in again. So again, I'm arming, ready to record. I think until I've got the bass in a track, I never really feel as if it's kind of moving along, especially if it's like a dance track. So I've chosen a cool bass sound, soft bass. So let's record the bass. And now it's starting to come round again. Okay, now it's beginning to feel more like a song. As soon as I started this bass line is when I started getting like the lyrical ideas. I just want to move out of note into section select now. You can see we've only got one section that we're using. So I just want to show you how we can copy the section sound into the next section to create another section. So we can either copy selection all, that will copy all of those sounds into another pad as another section. We use the controller to select section 2. We've now got 2 sections with parts in. We can also copy just the sounds. So this time, I'm just going to move those into section 3, and we can copy the sounds. So there's nothing actually playing now, but we can see that we've still got the same kick, the same snare, same hi-hats. So the next thing that I want to show you is how to use motion, which is this button here. And motion is essentially another word for automation. So we can record parts and we can automate, well, there's a plethora of things that we can automate. Let's have a look at how we access some of the effects that we can play around with the automation. We select the pad that we want to choose. So that's this one. And then we press edit. We've got the clip edit menu. If we scroll all the way through, add effect to those strings. We're going to multi-effects, Here I want some kind of phaser. So let's take that, select the phaser, exit. So also we need to assign the control knob if we're going to do automation, because we're going to be using these control knobs to sweep, etc. So we hit edit, and you can see now as I'm turning, we've got no assign, level, coarse tune, fine tune, and then obviously we've got our fun things like a nice cut off. So let's have a go with a little bit of cut off assigned on there. Add motion on, record. So the next section I want to look at is the section part of the workflow. So now we've got a few of our clips. We now need to decide each of those section lengths and start building them up into the kind of basic components of our song. So you can see on the step sequencer here, each step equals a measure. So the arrangement we made earlier is replicated here. So at the moment I'm on the initial kick intro section. And then as I move on, you can see at the moment they're all set kind of by default to 8 repeats. We can audition our sections. So I'm just going to check through the other sections. And then this is the one with the bass. So again, I'm just going to stick with it with 8. But obviously if you want to extend the sections, then you just click the buttons. And that section would increase or shorten. So for example, if you had any breakdown sections, you could maybe have those at just being 2 sections long. Okay, so we're just going to stick with the defaults at the moment. And this is one thing I found really easy, is just how all of the sections to arrange your song are really kind of clearly laid out. There's also some templates, some song templates, and these are from different genre styles, from trap to house, and you can follow some of the templates as well, which I think is a really good kind of beginner tip. Now we've got all our section lengths arranged, we can move on to my favourite part, which is the song part. So let's click the song button. First of all, we have to lay out the song before we can actually even add vocals. So no kind of adding in a few rough ad-libs before you're ready. Yeah, you can sing over it, but we don't have to play the whole sections to put them in. But we just select the pad and we hit the record button. And you can see now it's flashing. I'm just going to put that pad there. So you just press the pad and then you can see the corresponding colour. And I'm actually going to make a double section there for the intro. Then I'm going to move across to the section with the bass, and I'm going to have that twice. And then I'm going to move into what I call the chorus section. So you can see now I've got a brief section of my song. I'm not going to make it too long for purposes of the demo. The song is basically where we start creating the song, adding the vocals, the lyrics. I'll be doing harmonies, all sorts of things to show this off. So let's hit vocal. Got some flashing pads here ready to record on. But before we do that, we do have to actually set up a few things. For example, the mic input volume. When we turn it on, we can hold and we can see there that the external mic is on. And then we have the option to use the built-in microphone, which I talked about in the previous video, or a professional external mic. So set up the microphone. Okay, here it is. And you can see now that as I'm talking, I'm getting the microphone input level. Now obviously this gain can be attenuated. Here, I want to add some vocal processing while I'm actually recording. You can add it after, but I quite like to have it while I record. So in order to do that, we hit the edit button and then we hit the vocal processing, which brings up a selection of vocal patches, which we can choose to use, which are kind of like presets. And these are kind of based on genre. We've got auto pitch. So we've kind of got quite a few quite well-known plugins in here. We've got pitch, we've got double tracking, which is obviously a typical vocal technique, hip hop, pop, radio sound. We've got harmonies with octaves. We've also got the vocal processor menu. So we need to make sure that we've got external in, set One of my favourites here is the enhance. We've got the harmonies, we'll look at that later. It's the enhance, so we've got that on. Let's have it set. I did make these settings earlier, had a little try around so I can move along quickly. It's got a built-in de-esser. It's like, you know, one of the preset plugin channels that you get, for example, in Logic, where you've got a little selection. And then obviously we've got some EQ, I might leave that till afterwards in the mix section. And then we've got tuning. Now, one of the things I found really interesting with this is, the latency. Well, there's barely any latency, which is, for a singer and timing wise, is just fabulous. Anyway, let's have a listen to some of the vocal parts with the song. The other thing is that you can actually sing with a little bit of tuning on your voice, which is, unless you've literally got kind of Pro Tools HD top of the range, is something that, you know, you're not really able to do in most DAWs. We use the step sequencer to navigate where the clips are going to start. You can see here it's changing. And I actually want to start here as that's when my vocal comes in. Now I'm going to do some harmonies, but I'm going to drop in at a different spot. So I'm going to come in on the chorus, moving in there.